I'm going to be really blunt with you. I strongly believe that we have a trend in the course creation information kind of industry of making most of our courses and our programs too long. I see people all the time who are wanting to do 8, 10, 12, 16, 24-week programs or year programs. A lot of them are saying this is the 9-month program, and they're wanting to sell that thing for $497. And I'm going, wait a minute, a 9-month program, a year program? That's a high-end program. That's a $25,000 program. That's not a $497 program. So besides the pricing thing, what I find is that most people are trying to cram way too much into the program. And that actually ends up hurting you, because what ends up happening is people don't want to take your program because they want quick results. Remember, there's still hundreds of millions of dollars of supplements sold every year to lose weight by simply taking a pill, and it gets promised that this weight loss is going to happen virtually overnight. People want almost instantaneous results, and most people aren't willing to put in that long of a time. Plus, on top of all that, I believe that the max you can expect anybody for like a 12-week, $2,000 program is about 12 weeks. And if you think about it, we've been trained into this all our lives. Spring semester, about 12 weeks. Now, is it school that trained us into only focusing on a certain subject for a certain amount of time? Or is it the human behavior that causes that to happen? I'm not sure. But what I am sure is that most people can't stay engaged for much longer than about 12 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean you should do everything at 12 weeks. If you're selling a $497 program, I'd like to see that be a 4-week program at max. And start to view what you're doing in terms of what is the minimum amount of time that I can ask somebody to invest themselves, their effort, their time, and everything into this program to get the transformation that I'm promising them. And you say, but wait a minute, it just takes longer. So if I'm in the weight loss niche, I can't expect someone to be able to lose 100 pounds in 4 weeks. Yeah, that's true. Well, then perhaps what you need to do is to choose a more limited transformation. So you're not promising them everything they need to become a holistic doctor in a single course. You take a single program. Let's talk about stress reduction. I'm not into the holistic medical space, and so I really am struggling with coming up with an example here. But you take just one small course out of your entire program that teaches them everything they need to do to be an amazing holistic healer, and you give them just that one course for a short period of time. The toughest situation I've ever seen in this is I one time was working with somebody. He taught people how to be shamans. And he said, this is a 10-year program. And I just gasped. And I said, and you actually get people to do this? And he goes, oh, yes, I've got about 23 people who are in this that I've been training for, many of them over 4 years already, who are on a 10-year program. I asked him how much he charged for the whole thing, and it was astounding how little he was charging for the whole thing. And what I suggested to him is just take one small piece of what a shaman does and focus on that. And then they graduate. That's a prerequisite. Go back to the college example. You took Economics 101, and that was a prerequisite to take Economics 102, which then was a prerequisite for Economics 202, and then eventually to macroeconomics and microeconomics and everything else like that beyond that. Okay? So realize that in addition to all this, you need to recognize that you're giving them a system, not a PhD. You don't need to train them everything. You simply give them, do this, then do that to achieve this result. A system is the easiest way to solve the length of your course problem. By giving them a simple system, especially one that can be graphically oriented, they can see exactly where they are in that system as you move from one week to the next. That makes it totally possible to be able to condense what might be a 6-month program into a 12-week program, into a 10, into an 8, into a 6-week program. And one of the things that I do is whenever I sit down and outline a course, I outline the entire course, break it into modules, and then I sit down and I say, okay, how can I eliminate 20% of these modules? And I also look at how can I eliminate 20% of all the training that happens in this? Because I tend to want to give far too much information. Additional ways to shorten the amount of time of your course. Leave out all the background information. In most cases, because you've totally geeked out on this subject, and this is an incredibly important subject to you, and you're one of the world's experts on that particular subject, you've gone deep into all that background information. They don't need it to get that transformation in their life. Just because it's cool to you doesn't mean they need to know it to be able to succeed in whatever it is that you're promising. Here's another one. I find this all the time. I like to take people off on side journeys where I like to explain this and that and everything. Why? Again, because I'm geeking out on it. I think it's really cool. I think this side journey is just something that everybody ought to know about, when in reality, no one needs to know about it. And so I just eliminate that side journey entirely. Now, some people say, but they absolutely have to understand list building in order to do this particular thing. All right, turn list building into one of the bonuses. Not one of the modules, turn it into one of the bonuses. Then they still get that information from you, but it's not one of the weeks of the course. It's not one of the modules. You've turned it into a bonus. But be careful of this. Don't suddenly get 42 bonuses. Each one of them is what would have been part of a year-long course, because that's defeating the purpose also. But here's probably, to me, of everything I'm talking about here, probably the most important thing for you as a course creator is this. Hey, save some of that good stuff for your next offer. You don't have to give them the Library of Congress in your first product that you sell them. Hopefully, you're going to sell them a product they're going to love it so much that they're going to immediately want to take something else from you. That's where you're going to share this next piece of information. And so in other words, if you view it as this is my one chance to train this person on something, then you are going to tend to throw everything in. But when you view it instead of this is my one chance into this is my one chance to teach them this principle, and then I'm going to have another chance to teach them that principle, and when I get done with that, then they're going to want to come into my high-end program that's going to take a year and where we're going to go really deep into everything, and that's when I'm going to get into some of that other stuff. Now, I am not saying that there is not room for a high-end 25,000 year-long program, maybe 3-year-long program, whatever that is. That's appropriate. But for your starter courses, your top-of-funnel courses, the ones that you're actually selling almost the core program you're going to sell to everybody, that needs to be a shorter course. Then here's another one. So going back to the weight loss one, end the course, but continue to support them for X weeks. And so let's say you had a course on how to lose 100 pounds. So you run that course for 8 weeks, you teach them everything they need to know, But you then continue to have like a weekly call for the next X weeks beyond that. So you tell them, this is an 8-week course, but since we know that most people take longer than 8 weeks to lose this weight, we're going to continue to support you for another 3 months after that, whatever that is. And so that support piece actually becomes a very, very powerful element of your program. We're not giving you more information. We're continuing to support you. And everybody goes, oh, that's way cool. Because most people never support me once a course is done. You're going to continue to support me, and you're not going to continue giving me great information after that. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. And then finally, save the really deep work for your high-end program. I see a lot of people trying to go deep into changing literally every element of somebody's lives in their $497 program. Save your really deep work for that high-end $25,000 program. And that's where you really change their lives. You can have a sort of change your life where you change one piece of their life that they'll love you for, because now they can sleep all night long without having an anxiety-induced nightmare. Now they can be able to enter into an argument without breaking down afterwards because of, I'll just continue with the anxiety piece. Now they're able to encounter conflict or encounter somebody saying no. You can teach that in an 8, 10, 12-week course. But if you really want to solve the source of all their anxiety, yeah, that's going to take longer. Save that for your higher end program and deal with that. It all makes sense. Okay. So I've got Kathleen asking, is 8 weeks typical for a top of funnel course, or would a 12-week work just as well? So here's the way I look at it. If you're charging like $2,000, then 10 to 12 weeks. And very frankly, what I really recommend for a 12-week program is it's actually a 10-week program with 2 break weeks in there, implementation weeks in there. So I rarely design more than an 8-week program that then is either going to happen across 10 weeks or 12 weeks. So think about that. If you're charging $497 to $997, I really don't want you to go past 8 weeks. In that, a $497 is about a 4-week program. So think about it that way. Now, some people say, well, I'm in the personal space, and so I help people with their attitudes and things like that, and there's no way I can get away with $497 for a 4-week program. First off, I challenge that attitude. But secondly, you may want to adjust that slightly. But recognize, again, most people are unwilling to spend huge amounts of time with you. And in many cases, if you tell them this is a 24-week program, they won't buy simply because you told them it's a 24-week program. They look at it and they go, I'm willing to invest a certain amount of time in this, but I'm not willing to invest half a year to get there. And what will happen is, even if you ever run a 24-week program, what you're going to do is you're going to find actual consumption of the materials, attendance on calls, all those kinds of things are going to just fall off a cliff in about 4 weeks, and they fall off another cliff at about 8 weeks, and they fall off another cliff about 12 weeks, and they just sort of stay at almost nothing after that. So keep that in mind. Figure out ways to do it shorter, and you'll give better results to your customers because they'll actually get it done. Remember, if someone falls off the cliff and they stop attending, now not only did they not get the transformation you promised them, now they feel guilty. And they start connecting that guilt to you. And that's the last thing I want to have, is someone feeling guilty about my program. I want them having achieved a transformation. I want them excited to come back and achieve the next transformation with the next thing that I offer them. Guilt, I want to take guilt entirely out of the equation. And so the longer you do it, the more guilt they get, and the higher probability is of failure on their part. And that's not what you want to be doing. All that makes sense? So let me know your thoughts. How long are your programs, and what are you doing to reduce the length of your programs as you go along? This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.